Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I'm here with Spellbinders and their card kit of the month for November of 2019. This is a wonderful card kit, and if you're looking to build up your stash for the holiday cards, this is definitely it. So this theme is Christmas wishes, and this, as always, it's jam-packed. So let's go through the items. So first you get your card. Gives you a little bit of inspiration and a project to make, and then it also tells you what's in the kit. So we're going to start off. You get your 10 envelopes and you get your 10 card bases. These are standard A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and they are side folding. The cardstock is a red, a dark pink, a light pink, a dark maroon, ivory, light and dark green, a gold mirror, and a sheet of white. You get a sheet of these gold glitter sentiments and also stars. You also get some gems that have gold flecks, and that's in red, pink, I'm going to say a light green, and the ivory. Your paper pad is called Christmas Wishes, and these are the papers that are available in it. There are some prints in these that are just absolutely gorgeous. From the colors to just some of those prints. There's a lot, and you'll be seeing those. Yes! You also get some of the chipboard stickers. There are 2 sheets of those on each side of the packaging. You get your double-sided foam squares. You get a roll of double-sided tape. Of course, I'm throwing things around. And then, of course, we get our die cuts. So many choices that are sitting in this. From trees to ornaments to banners to deers to tags. To candies. There's just all kinds of things that are sitting in that. These are your dies, so you have the ability to make some ornaments, some poinsettias, or a round sentiment if you didn't want to make it into an ornament. Of course, I almost forgot to show you that the stamp that comes with the kit. So you have a bow. That's a two-way stamp, so 2 levels. And then some wonderful sentiments. So I've actually started out with a piece of the pattern paper. I've cut out the 2 circles, and I am layering the 2 dies that are cut out. So I have the one with just the lines, and the other one that has the sentiment that says, "Oh, what fun." And I'm just layering those just to give some dimension to the card. I'm going to set down my pattern paper. Now, all the pattern paper bases for my card bases are cut 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. It gives me just a very slight border around the panels for the card bases. There will be lots of vintage photo through this, and I try not to have all of the vintage photo in the videos because that's a lot to do all that blending. But it did cause problems. You'll see. Oh yes, this will be fun. So the top one, we're going to make an ornament, and it's already at the top of the card. We're going to do the same thing with the one that's on the bottom. We're going to turn that into an ornament as well. Except for the one at the top, we're not going to add the long string that you can die cut. Only to the bottom one are we going to do that. So I'm setting the topper for the ornament in place. And now I'm just going to set my glue line up and then set my gold strip down. I'll open my card up so that I can trim off the excess. Remember, when my fingers are tapping, I'm thinking. It's scary. So what I'm looking for is my shimmer pen, my Nuvo one, but the gold one. I just wanted to have some accents of gold for the two baubles. We'll call them baubles. I just wanted to have that gold accent because you've got this very large font Christmas sentiment in gold with the vintage photo, and these are just sitting there with the white. So for the next card, I have my panel, and I'm going to take a piece of the pattern paper, set that in the center, and I will trim off both ends. The sentiment that's going to be the focal point is joy. I am going to ink around the edges with my vintage photo of all the pieces. And then I will do that with the last banner. So I want the joy to sit on an angle, but then the stockings are going to hang from it. So the stockings themselves are also going to be propped up using double-sided foam squares. So I'm going to get the joy set in place. And now I'm going to get the stockings going. But again, we're going to use the double-sided foam squares for that. Now, a lot of people ask me, do I get extras of the double-sided foam squares? No. I get the same exact thing that everybody else gets if they subscribe, or when they subscribe to this kit. From a previous kit, if I haven't used all of them, I save them. I don't throw them away. So that's why I've kind of stockpiled on them. Because a lot of times they're sitting somewhere on my table and I can't find them. So now I need to find mine that I can use. So it's a nasty process. It truly is. So you can see I have the stockings coming down. I have the banner that's going to go across them. I've used some double-sided foam squares on that as well. And I'm just going to add 3 of the gems to that project. For the next one, I'm getting my pattern paper down to my card base. And then I'm going to work on the tags. So I did grab all 3 tags. And I'm going to have these small, skinnier ones sitting in the background. I did already take care of all of the inking around the edges. So everything's pretty good so far. So the beauty of the double-sided foam squares is you can use that entire thing. So I'm always using my scissors and just cutting into it, making different shapes out of it so that I can continue to use the entire piece because it is great. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back, to that bow, and I'll have that bow come down around the words. I'm going to use some more of those gems, and I'm going to put one right at the top in the center of the tag. So here's where I forgot to turn the camera on to film. So we just get to see the card. Yeah, lots of layering, didn't miss any techniques, you just missed all the ink blending. So sorry. Because I am trying to do the ink blending off camera, and I'm forgetting that one. I forgot to turn the camera on. Yeah, it's fun. So for our next card, I've got 3 of those gold overlays die cut, and I'm going to use the circle that's used to cut them out, and I'm going to draw on the inside to get that shape. And then I am going to cut those out using my scissors. I'm going to use my Distress Oxide Aged Mahogany to go around the edges of these three. Now, what's very interesting, remember, your oxide is a dye and pigment base mixed together when it comes to the ink. So what that means is your pigment is going to change color on the darker of the cardstock. So you can see what it looks like on the lightest, but when I put it to the darkest, you can see a light area going around the edge, which is fine. It's not a problem. That's why I'm coming in with my fingers and just mixing all of that up. But oxides will show up on dark cardstock because of the pigment. So keep that in mind, because obviously I did not. Just say. So I'm now layering the gold, I'm just calling them the gold overlays, in place. I am using an acrylic block so that I can get some pressure going down between the two cardstocks so that they will stick together. I'm going to use my tape runner to get my pattern paper onto my card base, and then I'll use my double-sided foam to set the square panel that will sit on top. I will ink around that edge and then remove the release paper to set this in place. Now this pattern paper, the stripes actually I think go side to side. I just cut it out so that my stripes would go on a diagonal. So these are the three ornaments. I'm thinking about the placement. Where exactly do I want them? Or how they should be set. So the first two are going to go straight down onto the card, where this next one is actually going to be propped up by the double-sided foam squares. Again, just to get a little bit more dimension. I'm going to get the strips set in place for the strings. And then we'll get the caps to the ornaments set as well. Now those I will need just a really thin strip of a double-sided foam just along the top. And then I'll use my liquid adhesive as well. I'll do that for each one. And then I'll just make sure that it is set in place. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the top of the card just to make sure the gold strings are secured down onto the card. For our next card, we just have more layering. So again, using my tape runner to set my panel in place, and now I'm just going to look at where I want to put all of my layering pieces that I have, where I want those to fall on the card. And that's pretty much how that one's going to look. So that one went together really, really well. So that was awesome. I'm going to cut out a section so that I can put that on the back of the Jingle Bells stamp. And then I'm going to set some foam squares on back of the ticket. But first, I need to secure down those pieces that are below that. I'm going to remove the release paper, set my ticket in place, and then set my date. I'm going to add a few of the gems, and that card is completed. So for this one, my tape runner started giving me a problem. I don't know. I just think tape runners don't like me. Anyway, so I finally got it working. I set down my blue wood panel. I have my wreath here, and I'm going to set that on this panel using some double-sided foam tape. I'll set that in place. I'm going to use one of the banners from the die cut that's going to go across the wreath. And then I grab the 2 deer. Now again, everything's been vintage photoized. Let's call it that. But I'm going to set the deer so that their heads are, looks like their heads are interlocked. I know, you'll see. So I am going to use smaller pieces of the double-sided foam squares, because I do want the one deer to be propped up, the blue one. The one that's in the background is going to go straight down onto the cardstock. And now I'll remove the release papers for the other deer, and I'm going to remove a couple of the foam squares that I added, especially on the antlers. I just need to add glue to those. But you can see the one deer's looking back at the other. Going to add some of the gems again, and that card is done. So for this card, we're really going to play with the dies. So as you can see along the top, I have a lot of the poinsettia dies cut out. So we'll be layering some of those. I'm first grabbing a sentiment from the stamp set, and I'm going to heat emboss that using some gold embossing powder. So once I know that's set and it's melted, then I will go on and start compiling or layering the poinsettias. Again, using my tape runner, I will place this up onto my card base. Now, for some reason, I'm not quite sure what happened, but we went crooked. It's paper, so I think this would have torn if I would have grabbed it and tore it off. So I'm good with the wrinkles being there because they're going to be covered anyway by all of these layers with the 3 flowers that I'm about to set in there. I'm going to be using my glue dots to add all of my layers together. I do find that's easiest, and glue dots have awesome hold. They are very secured. So I'm going to make 2 with the darker colors on the bottom, and then we go into that lighter shade. There will be one where I will reverse it, where I will just make the darker colors or have the darker colors sit on top, just like I'm doing now, just to make it look a little different. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to set these in place, and of course foam dots. So foam dots going to be used for the one that's on the top, and then one's going to be used for the other one that's on the other side. I'm going to add some leaves, so I'll be adding the individual leaves that was in the die set, and also the poinsettias, because remember, when poinsettias have leaves, it's actually what's going to turn into the flower. So I will cut some of those up as well. And that is that. So I've got the gold sentiment, and then I've just got those flowers. Now they needed something in the center, so I'm going to use some of the gems in the red and just add those to those areas as well. So for this card, yes, this is where I think it died. I'm not quite sure. But this is about where I said, okay, tape runners and I just do not get along. So I set my first panel down, and I'm going to use the vintage photo around the outer edge, just onto the card base. I have a piece of the pattern paper that I've cut down and also cut a hole out of it. I'm going to grab some more double-sided foam tape, and I'm going to make sure that this is, as long as it's being propped up, it'll have a nice solid place for it in case anybody asks, if that makes sense. So again, I'm going to remove the release paper, and then I'll set this down on top of the red cardstock that I have there. Now the gold will actually just inset or set inside that circle so that the sentiment will have the red coming through it and not the white. So for this one, I grabbed all of the florals, of course, and I fell in love with this paper. And then, of course, the gray with the script. So I'm going to set that closer down to the bottom right-hand corner. And then we're just going to add some of these poinsettias that they have. There are a couple that will go up to double-sided foam tape. Again, just to give it some dimension and some difference. Just looking to know where I want to get one more placed. I knew I wanted another flower, and I wanted it to be a big one. I was going to add some of the gold leaves, but to me it just didn't look right. So we did not. I will add gems to the center of my flowers, just to help them get a clear definition. And then I will eventually remember to show you when I add the banner across this. So these are the 10 cards that we made from the Spellbinders Kit of the Month for November 2019, not 18, 19, called Christmas Wishes. I do hope that you enjoyed it. I am a fan of this kit with all of the layering that you can do and all the different types of cards. I do like mixed media. I do like the different layers and textures, and this card kit certainly does have that. So all of the links will be down below. Of course, that's the one that I couldn't film because I forgot to turn on the camera. Yes, I'm awesome that way. But all of the links to their blog, their shop, inspiration, and other clubs will be listed down below. If you have any questions, please list those down below, and I will make sure that I will get back to you as soon as I can. I do again hope you enjoyed the projects, and thank you so much for stopping by and just spending this little bit of time with me today to watch the video. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell so you know when the next video's up and live, and also hit the thumbs up. I hope everyone is having a great day. But always remember what's most important for me. Always be creative.